When dealing with children, it is important to be aware of negative influences in their lives. Recently, in a doctor's waiting room, my attention was drawn to a little girl who was browsing through magazines and talking aloud to herself. A few minutes earlier, her mother had been called to a back office by a medical assistant. As her mother left her beloved daughter, she asked me if I would keep an eye on her. I smiled sweetly and gave an affirmative nod, agreeing to do so, though I did not know the mother or the child. After all, how difficult could this be? I curiously listened as the mother sternly warned her daughter not to act out. Be nice, she said. Keep quiet, she said. Do not bother anyone, she said. Find a magazine to read, was this mother's last exhortation. So, the little girl sat there, quietly rummaging through the magazines on the coffee table for all of 2 minutes. At first, she mumbled inaudibly under her breath. Surprised, I looked in the child's direction, in time to see her brush a few magazines aside with the back of her hand, almost shoving them to the floor. Then, in a very loud, annoyed tone of voice, she exclaimed, "This is a stupid doctor office. They don't even have Essence Woman's magazine to read." With that, she stomped her feet all the way to the door her mother had gone through to the back. Then she began banging on it and screaming for her mummy. I was speechless. What was I to do? Truthfully, the first thought that came to my mind was to give her a sound chiding to the seat of her pants and to tell her mother what I'd done later. But I didn't do that. I decided I'd better not. This was a very different era. And so, since this child was in my care, I went to the door and stood between it and her, thus preventing her from banging on it any further. Then, with a straight face and authoritative tone of voice, I told her, "Give me your hand." She did, though reluctantly. As I led her back to the seating area, she appeared frightened and confused all at the same time. I thought either she was afraid because I was so much taller than she was, or maybe the look I had given her was enough. I asked for a cup of water for her gave it to her, and she drank it peacefully. Curious to find out if this child indeed knew what she was looking for and why she had thrown such a fit a few minutes prior, I quietly asked her what kind of magazine this Essence woman was. Then this little child gave me a look that could have cut me in two. She raised her eyebrows, glared at me, pouted her lips, rocked her neck from side to side and her shoulders from side to side, and exclaimed, "Duh! It's a hair, fashion, and makeup magazine, dummy. Don't you know anything? What planet are you from?" I was shocked, to say the least. What? Wait. No, she didn't. Jesus, take the wheel. Hold me back, Lord. I could feel something rising up in me. Okay, I will admit that I really didn't know what kind of magazine it was, but that was no reason for this little child to call me a dummy and to take on this attitude. Anyway, I decided that I would endure her insult and ignore her questions, and I asked her a question of my own again. How old are you? I'm almost 5 years old. My birthday soon come, she said proudly. I got a smile that time. I guess she didn't think that I was quite such an alien anymore. And so, as a challenge to her, I picked up a magazine, pointed to several pictures, and asked her to identify what the items were. This little girl, who could not read, successfully identified by the correct brand names mascara brushes, eyeliners, lipsticks, deodorant, perfume, anti-aging serum, makeup, and any number of facial creams and gels. Encouraged by my accolades, she picked up a hairstyle magazine and proceeded to enlighten me more on hair extensions, hair braids, lace front wigs. Wow! I was blown away. Curious to know the root of her fashion savvy, I asked her how it was that she came to know all this information. She responded excitedly that her mother reads Essence Woman magazine and that she watches hair shows on YouTube and Instagram along with her mother. She related to me that her mother's favorite television shows were Oprah, Wendy Williams, and Maury. As she flipped through a few more pages, she came across a photograph of Beyonce. And just like that, this 4-year-old began to belt out the words to Beyonce's Single Ladies soundtrack. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, she sang and strutted around and around the waiting room. All the single ladies, 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 strutted this 4-year-old, gyrating her waist from left to right happily. She exhibited even more fervor when some of the other patients clapped their hands and cheered her on. I did nothing to stop her. I breathed a sigh of relief when her mother finally emerged from the back, laughing. "Girl, Tara, I heard you all the way back there. You sound good, baby girl. Sing for Mama," she said, So Tara sang even more and danced too. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. This child's knowledge, her knowledge level and mannerisms made an indelible mark on me. I had previously told myself that I would inform this mother of how her daughter acted while in my care. But something told me she knew exactly what her daughter would have said and what her daughter would have done. So I said nothing, and the mother didn't ask. Tara's story is an example of how easily children learn behavioral traits and information from influences around them. Parents, caregivers, family members, teachers, neighbors, friends, radio and television programs, computer games, and of course social media are all major influences in a child's life. Behaviors, good or bad, may be emulated by your child or children and become his or her reality.